Good morning. Such a wonderful morning, experiencing Eugene's finest example of a winter day. So I'm going to talk about surrender. If I do say so myself in my own experience, every single melting or opening happened through an unforced surrender. A feeling of helplessness. I can't do it anymore. And sometimes it can be quite the long process. You know, every single individual, every single person or soul is here to embrace a certain aspect of being as it expresses through humanity. And so your demons, your stuff, you could say, your view of the experience, what needs to be met, the most difficult for you, is going to be very, very different from another. So for this one, probably the major hot core issue is very much related to the guidance given last night. This flirting with completely disappearing into the one and coming back into being or form. The best example I have, which I'm sure others have experienced, is you're drifting off into sleep and suddenly there is an awareness that you're not here, that you're not existing, and all of a sudden there's a jolt as the sense of the body and the form and the light comes back. And for me, that was a big, big fight. You know, the perfection and the synchronicity what was the talking about completely disappearing and then the interplay between completely disappearing and then appearing, and what happens, the camera's light goes out. You know, Divine Mother is such a little trickster. It really is a play. Every single thing. You say it's just, what is it? Coincidence. Whether it's just accidental or whether it's meant to be, and the more you go on and you watch, everything connects to everything else. Is appearance comes and goes. So a lot of the teaching that comes through this one, it very much relates to this one's own process. So, speaking about disappearing into the one and then all of a sudden being aware of what is left in that one when there's disappearance, and coming into form and feeling there's a sense of a someone here, a sense of a looking, and at the same time feeling that immensity of that one, and yet it is like this complete, and it's like taking infinity and all of a sudden making it very, very small and pinpointed, but still aware of the infinity. And that pinpointed is actually felt to just be infinity itself. And yet there's a sense of a small one that is looking, that is touching. And so there's identification in this case, with the separate one versus just the differentiation of infinity looking at itself, it is major freak out. It hurts. And the structure of the mind is very adept at covering it up. And so the only way back, so to speak, is to relinquish the reaction to trying to get away to the intensity that is there when one is feeling one's smallness in the middle of infinite oneness. Okay, so we're rolling again. So, whatever the supposed issue is, and it does not take a genius or much work to know whatever the big issue is, and there could be several, but usually when you drill down through the surface layer issues, which are there, you get to the core. It's just to dive right in, to be helpless against the core. And then you get to see all the reactions, all the covering over, and all those reactions will sweep you up, and really you're even helpless against them. But you keep, when there is the courage, going back to the core intensity. Nothing needs to get changed. You're helpless against the core intensity. And if it's not so intense, whatever it is, that's what you embrace. At some point, the following of the reactions, you start to feel tired. You start to see it's fruitless. It doesn't work. I keep trying to cover up the same hideous place. So tired that you have to give up. It's an unforced surrender, or forced surrender, whatever. You're left with no choice. And at the same time, when there is this continual willingness to let the intensity embrace you as you embrace it until you can't tell the difference. That worst of worst places starts to feel pretty good in relationship to the tiredness that happens when you react. And what are you going to do? You rest. Sort of reminds me of a story from when Yogananda was alive. He had one, I think he was a pretty rambunctious student, probably not one of his best. Couldn't stick with the program very well. And they were in Encinitas, and the student would always go into the ocean to swim. And Yogananda would tell him, don't go in there, don't go swimming in that ocean. I don't want you to go swimming in the ocean. Don't go in there. The ocean by Encinitas has some pretty good rip currents in it. There's this can be on many days, strong undertow. And so, of course, the student wasn't going to listen to the guru, and he'd keep going swimming. So one day he's out swimming and he gets caught in undertow. Never had experienced this before. And he made several attempts to fight it, to get out of it. And of course he does it the stupid way, which is to go directly against it to try to get back to shore rather than going parallel to swim out of it. And so he made several attempts, and every time he just kept taking on more water. And so finally he just gave up. He just lay on his back and it's done. And at that point, this huge wave came and just pushed him all the way to shore. And he got out of the water onto the beach and was heading up the stairs, because this place is on a cliff, and the master popped out of nowhere and he said, I told you not to go swimming in the ocean. And Master said later, I had to pray very hard for you. It was your time, and I had to pray very hard for you. But if you look, it was in that surrender that the magic happened. He would have kept fighting. He would have taken on more water and would have drowned. So was it the grace of the Guru that made him surrender, or was it his own Guru wisdom that had him surrender? I find countless stories this way. You know, when you surrender into the root energy that is beneath whatever the habit is reacting to, you're really not giving into the habitual response, the reaction. Neither are you denying the reaction, neither are you denying the intensity that's driving the reaction. There is an automatic stretching around what is thought to be the biggest problem, the biggest issue. And grace automatically comes in. You relinquish yourself to whatever it is with no expectation. So I forget where it was.
No expectation of the outcomes.
No expectation. No wonder why it went off. That is the trick. Because there's no next moment. The mind's idea that something is going to get resolved, you're going to get to the happy place, it is all going to be great, you're going to see it all. But the truth of it is, what you are is now. All you are is now. That is complete surrender. Just this, and this is all I am. And then my life begins to flow out of nothing into something and back to nothing. And I am that flow. Why does a flow need to expect something different other than what it is? I am that flow. Okay, so we're going to open it up before my light goes off again.